Hi, and welcome to Framework for Success. I am Michelle Egbert. Now, we have taken a look in previous videos at those things internally that are keeping us from, moving from who we are and to where we are becoming. We can experience that negativity bias that I talked about in a previous video, where our brains just keep trying to protect us by highlighting all of the negative outcomes rather than really what the positive could be. Another area that we also looked at is self-doubt and how that can kind of hold us back internally, as well as understanding the difference between fear and intuition. But today we are actually going to move beyond those internal struggles and really look at one of the main reasons we really get frustrated and can't seem to move forward at the pace and momentum that we really want to. So today we really are going to start exploring how to understand the season that you're in. Because I think one of the reasons so many people, we feel they get frustrated with themselves is because they're really expecting themselves to operate the same way in every season of their life. And that has not worked for me. And then I also feel that that's just really not realistic. There was a time in my life where I thought growth always meant that I needed to move forward, move faster, and get everything done. That do more, say yes to more opportunities, be more productive, move faster, that mindset. And while there are seasons that do require that growth and do require that expansion, there are also those seasons that require some rebuilding, those seasons that require healing, seasons that require simplifying as well as refocusing, as well as restoring your structure. But we really don't talk about those seasons enough as we do expansion and growth. And then instead we compare ourselves to people who, may be in a completely different season than we are currently in. And then they wonder why everything just feels so difficult. And I think, one of the most dangerous things that we can do is to force ourselves into a version of growth that our current season just can't sustain. Because eventually your mind and your body, well, you know what? Your mind and body are going to tell you the truth your schedule is ignoring. You feel it through that exhaustion, that lack of clarity, that emotional burnout, frustration, or that constant, feeling that you're behind no matter how hard you are trying. And then sometimes that isn't, a sign that we're failing. I've talked about that before in previous videos. This could be a sign that the season that you thought you're in is actually changed. Now, I've had seasons where, building made complete sense. We're saying yes to a lot of things also made sense, where growth was exciting and completely aligned in the season that I was in. And I've also had seasons where I needed to really just slow down enough to ask, what actually matters right now, not 6 months from now, not next year, but actually what matters right now in this season that I'm in, because priorities will change in different seasons. Capacity changes also in different seasons. Even your purpose can evolve in how it's expressed based on the season you're in. I think many people are exhausted because they're trying to operate from an old version of themselves that no longer fits where they are right now and the current season that they are in. And that creates tension because deep down, something feels off. But instead of listening to that feeling, we often try to just overpower it with motivation. Just keep moving forward regardless. We think, if I just keep working harder, if I'm just more disciplined, if I can, I just need to get it together. But you know what? Alignment usually doesn't come from that type of pressure we put on ourselves. It comes from honesty. Honesty about what you can realistically carry right now. And more importantly, what season am I actually in right now? And what no longer fits in this current season? And you know what? That is not weakness, that is actually wisdom. And one of the simplest ways to identify the season that you're in is to really pay attention to what your life is asking from you right now, not just what your ambitions are asking from you. Does this season need more expansion? Or is this a season where I need a little bit more stability? Does the season need more visibility? Or does it need really healing? Does the season need more commitments? Or do I need to be building a stronger foundation? Because your exhaustion, your resistance, your clarity, and even your energy are often giving you clues as to what season you're in if you're willing to listen to them honestly. Now, there are seasons for growth and there are seasons for that building of a foundation. There are also seasons for visibility as well as seasons for healing privately. And there are also seasons where you build outwardly as well as seasons that you are going to build internally. And none of these seasons are failures. I want you to know that. All of them, they all serve a purpose. And I think there's some freedom in realizing you don't have to force yourself into that constant, that acceleration to be successful. Sometimes growth actually looks like simplifying. Sometimes growth looks like setting those boundaries in your life and in your business. And then sometimes growth also looks like letting go of those things that are no longer aligned with who you are and where you're going in this season of your life. And then sometimes growth will look like resting long enough to hear yourself clearly again. So if things have been feeling a little bit more difficult and harder for you lately, instead of immediately asking yourself, how do I work harder? How do I just push past this? Maybe you ask yourself, what season am I actually in? Because when you understand your season, where you are in this moment, you stop fighting yourself. You start making decisions with more clarity, with more grace, and with more intention. And that changes the way that you will move forward. Because clarity is really the first step. But alignment is what is going to create that momentum in your life as well as in your business. So if this resonates with you, I created something called the alignment audit to help you really identify where things may be out of alignment in your life as well as in your business right now and the season that you're currently in. If you'd like a copy of this free audit, you can just direct message me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and I will send it right over to you. But I want you to remember your exhaustion, your resistance, your clarity, and even your energy are often giving you clues as to what season you are in, if you are willing to listen to them honestly. I want to thank you for watching today, and we will see you next time.